皆さんは史上最高と謳われたこの選手のことを覚えておいでだろうか。言わずと知れたエンゼルスのフランチャイズプレーヤーマイク・トラウト選手だが、近年では度重なる怪我の影響もあり、出場機会そのものが減少。昨年こそ3年ぶりとなる100試合以上の出場を果たしたものの OPS はメジャー定着後初めて 0.8 を切る形でシーズンを終えてしまう。そして先日まで開催され大きな盛り上がりを見せたワールドベースボールクラシックでも当初は参加の意思を示し、アーロン・ジャッジ選手と共に新旧キャプテンアメリカとしてチームを率いることが期待されたが、保険適用の問題もあり、最終的なロースターからは漏れる残念な結果となってしまった。近年の低迷を受け、一部ファンからは過去の人トラウトの時代は終わりを告げた、GOATも年齢には抗えないとの声も出てきているが、果たして本当にそうなのだろうか。この動画ではそんなトラウト選手が34歳として迎える2026年シーズンについて識者が語る展望を紹介していく。そして本題に移る前に、まずはライトにポジションを移し、現役右翼で格付け9位にランクインした2025年シーズンの評価から専門家の意見を見ていこ
う。Let's move up the list. How about this? Chris, we get to him right now at number 9, Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels. A disappointing year for Trout, but he makes the top 10 for the 14th straight year now in right field. He was the number 1 center fielder in 10 of 12 years. For most major leaguers, a 359 on base, 439 slugging would be a decent year. Not for Mike Trout. He did play 130 games. That's a decent number. The most games he's played in 6 years. Trout going into his age 34 season, we need to be realistic about where he is after his spectacular opening decade. He was essentially a 300, 400, 600 hitter, the slugging just under 600 for 11 seasons. Over the last 3 years, though, the number's much more modest. No longer slugging even 500. Yeah, this is a tough call. Where are we on Mike Trout? Used to be we were talking about him at the very end of the show. Now we're at the start.
He deserves to still be on the list. I cannot get Mike Trout off of my list. And I understand we're comparing Mike Trout against Mike Trout of years past. But when you compare him to the field, even this season, 121 OPS plus, this is the worst OPS plus that he's had since he's broken into the big leagues in his very first season. With that being said, if any other average player in baseball were to have Mike Trout's worst season this year, that player still has a really long, fruitful career in the major leagues.
Right.
So if your floor is a 121 OPS plus, and I understand what your ceiling is because we've seen that in years past. If he finds a way to stay on the field for a consistent amount of time, yes, maybe he's lost a step. Yes, maybe he's a little later on the fastball. He's not going to steal as many bases. I understand that. But the player that Mike Trout is, if he goes to any other team right now, it's still a big addition and he can make a big impact.
Yeah, I wonder, like players of this caliber frequently have a guy like that that's making this top 10 list. We'll have a bit of a dip and then there's a resurgence. I wonder if there's a resurgence here from Mike Trout. Again, not that old yet.
When you're talking about a player who was the best in the game for a long period of time, even as he's starting to age a little bit, I 100% think that there's a superstar player in there. Maybe not the stolen base guy, but the guy that can go out there and carry an offense for a sustained period of time.
そして今シーズンのトラウト選手を語る上で欠かせないのはライトからセンターへの再コンバートという要素だ。昨シーズン膝への影響を考慮しセンターからライトへポジションを移していたが、再びセンターのポジションに復帰。これに対してトラウト選手自身は手応えを感じており、指揮者からもおおむね好意的な評価が寄せられている。
He's off the top of the show. Mike Trout to do some outfield drills, like Zach said. Maybe a position switch. That's right. Mike Trout on shifting back to center field. The story has been this guy's a 3-time MVP. He's going to be going to Cooperstown one day, but the issue was staying healthy. Well, now healthy and feeling good, going back to the middle of the outfield. Here's Trouty.
I just feel comfortable out there. I feel like I'm at my best when I'm in center. But like I said, if I had to go to the corner, I would go to the corner. I felt like when I was in center, it was less on my body than the corners. To be honest, right field, I felt like I was running a lot. But it's just like a preference thing. You know, talking to some other outfielders, and they're saying that you know they feel the same way. Sometimes you know center is less on your legs, but I just feel mentally and confident in center.
All right, so if Mike Trout's healthy, he wants to be in center field. And this is the situation in terms of games by position in the last 4 seasons. Again, as a right fielder, hit a .141, a .537 OPS. But you see, previously, going back to 2022, he could be a mainstay in center field. Of course, injuries hurt him in 2023 and 2024. But listen, over 120 games last year, that's a good sign for Mike Trout. If he can play even 70, 80% of his games, what do you make from going back to center?
It's a position that he's familiar with and he's comfortable with. It's all going to boil down to health issues for Mike Trout. We haven't seen the same Mike Trout the last couple of years. He's had a bevy of injuries, and he may not be the player he was 7 or 8 years ago when we were talking about one of the greatest players we've seen since Mickey Mantle's Willie Mays.
Yep.
The guy still has some thump in his bat. He can hit the ball at ballpark. He's not the base-stealing threat that he was from years gone by. If the Angels at all are going to have a productive season and challenge to be a 500 team, they're going to need Mike Trout to play somewhere between 145 and 150 games. They may not all be in center field, but they're going to need that bat and have him available in that lineup.
And you're right. As far as a player now, he's different. You know, he strikes out more. His batting average is low, but he can still hit you home runs. I'm with you. He's a guy who can hit you a 30 home run season.
Yeah. And, you know, with this new wave of pitching, it's kind of, he's always been known as a great low ball hitter.
Yep.
You try to pitch him at about the belt to the chest high, that fastball. Now that's called a strike. That's in that upper quadrant of the strike zone. But he's made some adjustments on that front. He still has some thump in his bat. If he's healthy, he'll have a productive year.
26 home runs for Trout last season, so hopefully he can be that 30 home run guy again there for the
Mike Trout. When you hear that name and when you watch this team and when you think back to your ex-teammate, you guys are both young in the big leagues. Obviously, he's a few years younger than you. What do you see not only from his career, but for this season as the next step for him to continue his ridiculous career?
Well, career-wise, it speaks for itself. You know, even when the team was not doing much, he was doing a lot. And it's almost goofy to you look at the career numbers, and I mean, I knew right away he was light years better than me, and light years better than everyone else. These injuries have started to compound, and it's very tough. I know he's got a knee that isn't cooperating. It's probably, as somebody that had a big knee injury myself, I can kind of testify that once it starts swelling on you, you know, it's really a tough thing to manage. And you want to go out there, you want to post, you want to play, but the body might, you know, it's just a saying, it's not the way. As far as outfield defense, I again hear some rumors that he might be playing some center field. Last year, defense wasn't a thing. They got a logjam with Soler. I don't see a fit for him on this ball club. So maybe they're able to move him, or maybe they just eat it. But, you know, I have high hopes for Mike. I know he was a tremendous teammate to me. You know, he's always been somewhat under the radar with the media and whatnot. And I think he plays the game for the right reasons. And I'd love to see, you know, a big resurgence. One area I'd really like to, because he's capable of so much, is the batting average. While it might not be popular to everyone, I still think it's incredibly important. And he's capable of hitting a lot better than 230. So I think that, you know, for him, I'd like to see that improve, even if nobody else cares. I think that, you know, you don't want to look up there and see that when you're a guy that's a career 300.
大谷選手と長年チームメイトだったこともあり、日本にも多くのファンを抱えるトラウト選手。再びトップスターの座に返り咲くことを信じている方はグッドボタンを、そしてコメント欄には予想成績やトラウト選手に期待することなどを書き込んでみてください。